Phil, how's it going?
Hey, thank you so much, Derek, for having me today again. We're supposed to have also Megan join us from Kopari.
Bringing
We'll
her in
promote
now.
her. I think she's in the room.
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect. Right, so
awesome.
we have Megan from Kopari, Megan Whitman, the e-commerce specialist, and today we'll conduct a fireside chat with Megan that will provide us operational tricks and tips to scale your business on many different fronts just before Black Friday. So, are we ready to go, Derek and Megan?
Yes, go for it. I'm gonna mute myself and hide in the corner now.
Perfect. Well, thank you. So Megan is joining us, I guess, from San Diego, sunny San Diego, and myself, I'm currently in Chicago. Just finished a subscription event called Wrecker. So if you guys if you're in the subscription business, join us next year here. And it's great because Megan and Kopari are subscription-based products. So we'll definitely tackle subscription and how to grow subscriptions during the holidays. But first, let's jump right into it. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background as an e-commerce operator, Megan, and how you started to get involved with Kopari?
Absolutely. So I actually started my career working for a digital marketing agency. My time was actually spent mostly focused in SEO and analytics initially. So I got deep into the digital marketing world, first more on a technical side, working in SEO. And I had been working for one of the founders of Kopari years before Kopari was just a glimmer in his eye. And so that's how I was introduced initially to the founders. I really loved SEO and analytics, but I felt like I wanted to take my career into more of the e-commerce space. So I was working for different hospitality brands and, focus on those programs. But I think my absolute love for data really pushed me to go into the e-commerce space. So I found a new agency that was specifically focused on e-commerce and left my work with my Kopari founder and friend and said, I got to go do e-commerce. And 2 years later, he called me and said, you went to go do e-commerce. Now I am getting into the e-commerce world through beauty. And I need you to come right back to San Diego and take this on with me and kind of walk me through what this looks like starting an e-commerce brand. So luckily I had an in. I knew somebody. So that's how I first heard about Kopari. I actually accepted the position a year before we had any products and before we had a name or a logo. So I was the first employee, and I moved out to San Diego and helped, for the next 10 months or so, build really just the framework to launch a direct consumer beauty company.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think a lot of people in your direct environment are involved in e-commerce. I know Dylan, among others, and you've been on the speaking tour for e-commerce for a lot of time. But before we really jump into operational advices for entrepreneurs, can you tell us a little bit more what Kopari sell and what's the business model behind Kopari?
So we launched in October of 2015. We sell coconut-based self-care products. So that includes personal care, skin care, body care, oral care, basically products that the amazing ingredient of coconut oil really helps to enhance all of these different SKUs. So our product is based around coconut, not necessarily one category, but coconut's an amazing ingredient that works so well for really all over your body. So that's kind of the core of our brand. We launched online in October of 2015. So the goal was to launch a direct consumer beauty company, and that was because we had been working with there's 4 founders of Kopari, and all had different experiences working with different retail environments, some in beauty, some not, and they really wanted to build a company that was going to be able to have a direct one-to-one relationship with their customers. They wanted to talk directly with the people using the products, as opposed to maybe some of the bigger retail buyers. So that was how we really launched. About a year into the business, we did expand into retail, because in speaking directly with our customers and hearing not only what products they were looking for us to create, what they liked, what they didn't like about our current products. They also told us that they wanted to see us in store. So we listened to them, and we ended up joining the retail space as well. So today we still sell a lot on our direct consumer business, but we're also in Ulta Beauty, Sephora, Nordstrom's, the urban brands. We have a pretty solid retail presence as well.
That's fantastic. And today, what's the split in your sales, if it's not too confidential, between direct to consumer on your site versus through retailers?
So today it's about 50-50, but our retail business is rapidly expanding.
Oh yeah, so retail is becoming a bigger and bigger channel, and I guess also all the advertisements and content that you guys are creating online is fueling the growth of the retail, because retailers, they see that there are some real muscles behind that brand and experience, and they're more confident taking it on without charging exorbitant slotting fees.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So you've been there since the beginning, before there was a name, before there was a product, and now you're everywhere in retail and very strong online presence. What was the turning point? When did you feel, was there a moment where you felt like you guys hit the recipe, product market fit, and also go-to-market strategy? And how did that materialize?
Yeah, absolutely. So there definitely was a moment, or maybe a series of moments, I'll call them, and they happened about 5 months after we launched, so fairly early on. We had a whole strategy going in. We knew we wanted to be direct consumer, so we had a marketing strategy. We had a marketing plan. We weren't just going to launch it and assume people were going to find us. So we did a lot of, small tests around paid social advertisements. We did some influencer advertisements. We had an organic press agency that we were working with to help us get some press features from beauty publishers, and we also did some sampling. And things were pretty slow for the first 5 months or so, until they just sort of all hit on all cylinders. I remember specifically, we started to see a little bit of increase in efficiency around our paid social advertisements. It was slowly but surely getting better and better, kind of week over week. And then we got just this organic piece of influencer press, I'll call it. A friend of a friend had shipped some product to a pretty large beauty influencer, and she talked about us on her YouTube. We did not pay her. It was just kind of an amazing thing that we were gifted by just getting our product in front of her. And I remember that one day we saw sales skyrocket, but it wasn't just that one day. It was actually that kind of set us on a path. And then we found that our advertising got more efficient. We found that we started to hear from retailers, and a lot of people started to say things like, we had been sampling in Birchbox, 2 or 3 months prior to this point. We started to hear from retailers saying, "Oh, I got your product in a Birchbox," or, "Oh, I saw this article that you were featured in 2 months ago." So
that's very interesting. It's a little bit off script, but so Birchbox, do you think is it a good strategy for anybody who wants to get their product out there to put their samples in a subscription box such as Birchbox or another beauty, just because retailers might receive it and are on the lookout for new brands through that channel?
I can only speak from our experience. I don't know how. From our experience, yes. I mean, we had a lot of retail interest that actually said that they heard about us in Birchbox. That was a few years ago, and to be fair, we didn't really hear back from them right away. So it was definitely a long tail initiative, and that was sort of how everything was. We weren't under the impression that just sampling or just a piece of press was really driving that brand awareness, and then all of a sudden everything started to work together, and people would say, "Oh, I heard about you here," something that we had done months ago. So it was just a little bit of a slow build, and I don't attribute it to one particular channel. I think it was the fact that we were kind of tackling the 360 marketing campaign, and it just took a little bit of time for people to see our brand name 3, 4, 5 times, and then say, "Okay, this company is legitimate. I should give them a try. They're going to be around for a minute."
Great. And now that you've reached a certain size, obviously like community and fostering that spirit is super important for you. Can you give us some tips on like how you're engaging with your followers? What type of content and channel are you using to engage with your community?
Absolutely. So we have always been a kind of a social first brand. So we've spent a lot of time focused on our social media community, mostly on Instagram. That's kind of our platform of choice where we've really chosen to communicate with our customers and our followers. So that's been something that since the very beginning, we've had one-to-one conversations with them. We respond directly to people who comment, whether it be on an organic post, on a paid post. We'll have full-on conversations, whether they're customer service conversations or just educational conversations with our customers on social. And also we've had always since day one, we've had a team of customer service agents internally to the brand. So sitting in the office, the first few days of the brand, it was me talking directly to the customers and answering their questions about the products and where to buy them and how they all work. And then most recently, we've actually really, as our company's grown over the past couple of years, we've started to leverage a few different types of channels, such as SMS has been actually an area of focus for us. And we've been able to really have like foster one-to-one communication through SMS, which just feels a little bit more personalized in real time for the customers. So we actually will segment out certain groups of customers and start conversing with them just through our SMS channel and saying, you know, like whether it be people who have purchased before but haven't come back in a while, we'll ask them if they are still enjoying the product, if there's any, you know, information that they need, or maybe somebody who's, you know, tried one product and came back and returned it, but tried a different one. We'll say, how is this product working for you? And just trying to start those conversations, which we're able to do because we have an internal customer service team and also a technology partner that allows us to really have those one-to-one conversations.
So who's the technology partner that you're using for the SMS?
So for SMS, we were using Retention Rocket.
Great. And so let's jump into the next session. So we're all e-commerce practitioners. We want the best tricks and tips to scale your business for Black Friday. The first one, like, let's continue talking about SMS. Like, what's the easiest flow, the easiest way you can get started on SMS tomorrow? You turn on, like, install the app. How do you get started?
So, I mean, the hardest thing right now is that you really have to start building up a list. I think that once you know, the opt-ins is probably the more difficult thing to get started tomorrow. So my recommendation, I think the easiest thing to do is what we did, which was start with abandoned cart. That is something that we know people respond to. It's something that it does very well for our emails, so we assumed that it would translate fairly well for that. So that was kind of our step into the SMS world. We actually very strategically, I guess it would have been a little bit over 2 years ago, the woman who was managing our email said, you know, we need a way to stand out this holiday season. So maybe in June, we started looking into SMS partners, and we found one and actually replaced our email sign up on our website with an SMS sign up to start generating SMS signups and kind of focused our efforts there because we knew that email, the inbox was going to get a little bit crowded during the holidays, and wanted to have that more direct conversation with our customers. So definitely starting with the sign up, I would quickly implement abandoned carts, and then I think knowing that, you know, Black Friday tends to be an overly promotional time period for most brands, using that to not only let your customers know what your deal is, because they're going to have a lot of emails that day and hopefully a few less SMS, but reminding them too when the deal might be ending so that they don't miss it.
Great. So let's keep talking about deals and discounts. What have you seen works either on an abandoned cart sequence or SMS by SMS or throughout the Black Friday promotion? Like, what type of deals are you providing your clients with? Is it like increasing, always a stable, like this is the deal you're getting throughout the whole weekend? And how do you communicate that deal?
Yes. So for our Black Friday promotions, we are keeping it essentially the same. It's the same, but it's different. So we have our Black Friday promotion is going to be a 20% off site-wide offer. And then every day there's actually going to be new products that have a heavier discount than that 20%. So the reason we did this, and we did this for the first time last year, and we found a ton of success with it. The goal of doing a different deal every day or a different set of products every day was actually to encourage customers to come back and maybe buy more than once during the Black Friday period, to really engage them. And we found that we had a lot of customers who might have bought on Black Friday and still come back Saturday, Sunday, or Monday and maybe another purchase because they had a kind of a daily offering that was different from the one that they had experienced on Friday. So it doesn't get steeper as time goes, but it does change slightly. And one of the things that we found last year that I found very surprising last year, based on this sale, was we actually auto-applied the 20% off discount code to all carts, as opposed to, through Shopify Plus, which we are on, as opposed to making the customer type in the code. This was really counterintuitive to me because I assumed that, maybe some people would forget about the code or not want to just, not necessarily need the code to convert. But just by having that code auto-applied, we actually saw our conversion rate up 30% year over year from last Black Friday to the one previous. And as well as actually our customer service tickets went down. So I'm on board.
Yeah. So there was a lot of tickets of people asking how to apply a discount, I guess?
I think asking how to apply a discount. I think it was asking, what was the code again? Or maybe it was actually a lot, what we found the most substantial decrease in is people who finished their checkout and then came back and said, oh, I forgot to apply the code. Well, they didn't have to do that. And it just saved our customer service team a ton of time during a really busy time period.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit more about customer service. Obviously, at Gorgias, it's a topic that we have very close to heart. That's our reason for being, and also we're super happy to work with your brand in scaling customer service operations ahead of Black Friday. But can you tell us a little bit more about customer service best practice? Do you scale, add more people to your team? Do you add autoresponders? How do you prepare your customer service for the influx of requests that are going to come in due to Black Friday?
So we're not necessarily scaling up our team, but what we are doing is having a little bit of a learning session with, we're going to actually have our customer service team train up everyone on the digital marketing team. So everyone's going to kind of be an all hands on deck for customer service during the holiday period. But one thing that we did last year that we also found to be really helpful in maintaining customer relationships during the holidays and when people aren't necessarily in the office was setting up an autoresponder. So we selected a few of our top questions that we get. Typically they're, where do I insert my code? What is the code? What is the deal? Or, can I apply this to a previous purchase? Things like that. And we actually set up an autoresponder so that every customer inquiry we got during this time, they would get this response with top FAQs and see the response real time. So it kind of reduced the friction a little bit. So someone would get a response immediately. Maybe it answered their question, maybe it didn't. But a lot of times it did. And we were able to kind of reduce the amount of work on our team to reducing that friction of the customer getting the answer to something right away.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit more about subscription. So you're a subscription business. High retention, low churn is probably one of the key metrics that you're fighting for. So, and it all goes through a great customer experience. What are the key actions that you undertook over the last 12 months to improve customer experience? And the way I see it, customer experience, is either the product quality and the design, or your operation. So how fast are you shipping, your return policies, or customer service? So out of those pillars, is there specific actions that you undertook over the last 12 months that today makes you in a better spot to reduce churn and increase loyalty to your subscription program?
Yeah, so our subscription program is pretty new. It's only been around for a little bit over a year and a half, just under 2 years. So we're still learning every day about the best way to really optimize the program. But a few things that we've done over the last 12 months to better service our subscribers. We've actually spent a lot of time in the customer portal. And that was an area that, again, it was a little bit difficult to take a step back and really invest in that. Can
you tell us a little bit more about what's the customer portal?
So the customer portal, so for our program, we're on Recharge. recharge payments for that's powering our subscription program. And one of the features of our program is that you are able to completely control your subscription through the customer portal. So you can start, stop, cancel, skip, change your delivery date, add a product, remove a product, add a one-time product, add a subscription product. You can really do it all. And that's one of the selling points of joining the program is we're not trying to lock you into anything that you're not ready to be locked into. We want to make it super easy, again, to reduce the amount of customer service inquiries that we get for this specific request. We actually spent a lot of time just redesigning the portal and improving the user experience. So for example, like one of the things that it might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but to make the product or to make the subscription or skip your next order button really visible. So as soon as somebody logs in, they see here's my upcoming order, and there's just a skip button right there. And we found that by offering that skip button much easier, it actually reduced the number of people who canceled their subscription because they knew that they could just come in, skip easily, and wait until they needed more product to actually get the product and not just be stockpiling.
That's great. I've heard other feedback from people also like having an email being sent out before the subscription is processed, just being like, do you need your subscription this month? Like, if not, you can skip here basically by clicking one button in the email. So like if people were ready to receive it, then they would just they would ignore the email. But if they had still overstock, they would just click skip. You're not losing your subscriber, you're keeping your client. So really, I think from those experiences, making it easy to skip will reduce churn a lot.
Absolutely. And I think, and it's bad that I probably don't know this, but I know that we've been working with a company called ARPU, getarpu.com, ARPU, and they just recently rolled that feature out. So we are able to skip from the email, and I believe we've implemented it. If not yet, it was like, this is like something that happened in the last 2 weeks. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Great. Also, yeah, it seems like it's starting to be common knowledge, and it shouldn't be something you're fighting for. Like, oh no, I don't want my client to skip. Like, I think a lot of the old school way of thinking about subscription, it's like, oh no, I hope my clients forget about it. I'm going to keep like shipping product every month and, churn and burn like within 6 months.
Absolutely.
No, it's about like really creating those genuine connection and making it easy for them to skip if they need to, or like delay and so on to keep them engaged in the very long term.
And we actually this year have had a lot of, every year it's, as a business that's growing rapidly, supply chain can be super tough. But we've also allowed only our subscribers, we guarantee in stock. So if that means taking a product off of the website to sell to one-time purchasers, if it means not shipping to one of our retailers, we guarantee that if you're a part of our subscription program, you will get your product on the cadence that you want it. So we'll actually hold back inventory for those customers. So for, a chunk of this year and most years, our subscribers were actually the only ones able to get the product that they wanted.
That's great. And that's the last thing I wanted to touch base on today, preparing inventory ahead of Black Friday. So you guys have a little bit of experience. You've been around a couple of cycles already, but how are you coming in the holiday season and are you planning your inventory? How are you stress testing your supplier ahead of time to make sure they don't short your PO and leaving yourself potentially a little bit of buffer in order to order more if you need to, because really sales are picking up?
Well, I'll be honest. I just assume, if somebody has this all worked out in a perfect formula, please let me know. Call me, email me. I would love to hear it. But what I've done, we're 3 years old. So we have, two other, technically 3 other Black Fridays, but the first one was very small because we launched a month before it, to kind of look back and see what did we do here? How did this affect overall sales? So the way I do it is actually go back and look at what were our average daily sales during that time period. So for example, in 2018, I would look at what are the average daily sales that we were doing in, the first part of November or the second part of October. And then what were the average daily sales that we were doing during the sale period. So during Friday through Monday, for example, Black Friday through Cyber Monday. And if we saw, a percentage lift from that, I would assume a similar percentage lift. So that could be, whatever the lift, average daily sale lift, I assume that and then I actually back into the revenue. The revenue then pre-populates with, if we have X percent of our sales are going to a certain SKU, we do it more of a percentage of sale than an actually unit based, if that makes sense. So that's how we are doing it. It's been fairly good. We haven't run into an issue where we're actually out of stock during a sale period yet. So thankfully, my operations team is amazing and make sure that we have what we need at that time. And how I'm forecasting out is usually just as, again, the difference in the percentage lift from the daily revenue, average daily revenue during a sale period.
That's amazing.
Did anybody follow that?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, straightforward. So you look at your average base order, and then you're expecting a 30% lift based on historical data for a similar sale period, and that's what you're forecasting. Great, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Megan, for sharing. Any last word of wisdom for the people on the call today about like how to get ready and not overstress and not like die during Black Friday?
I mean, definitely start planning early. Make sure that you have all of your marketing campaigns set up previously. Oh, actually, one other piece of advice, because I've messed this up before. If you do swap out so we'll probably adjust the copy for our abandoned cart series, both on email and SMS during this time. Don't forget to swap it back. And then also be prepared to acknowledge if somebody, has a cart from, whether it be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and your sale ends, have a plan prepared for how you're going to handle those abandoned carts, because sometimes somebody will come back and maybe they'll get an error because the code is no longer valid or the deal is no longer valid, and determine if you're going to honor that or if you're not, and kind of be prepared for that to happen, because it happens every time.
Yeah, have your customer service team ready to answer a lot of abandoned cart email and SMS during the holidays. And if you need any help with that, contact us at Gorgias and say you were on the e-commerce tech webinar. Thank you so much again, Megan, for taking the time to share your experience. And Derek, back to you.
Yeah, awesome, guys. And I did work for one of those beauty box subscription companies that doesn't want to install the skip a month date because they're afraid of what it will do to their churn rate. So I can tell you that it can be tough to convince people with data that something will make you more money at times. So I feel the pain, and I love the product, and I love what you've been able to do and what you shared here today. I put some of it in the show notes. If you guys have additional notes that you took on this session, you can comment in our show notes, and I'll be happy to add them in there. Thank you so much, Phil and Megan. We are going to move right into the next session.